You are connected, and you are listening to Specifically for Seniors, the podcast for those in the Remember When generation. Today's podcast is available everywhere you listen to podcasts and with video at Specifically for Seniors YouTube channel. Now, here's your host, Dr. Larry Barsh.
Today on Specifically for Seniors, we're going to do something a bit differently. Over the next 15 minutes, I'm going to introduce you to three remarkable women, ranging in age from 79 to 103. Each woman has a different story to tell, but each will serve as an inspiration and will share their secrets for a long, healthy, and active life. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired by the wisdom and resilience of these three incredible women. We promise you will have some laughs, come away with a new perspective on what being older than 75 really means. Our first guest is a 79-year-old lady who has broken multiple world records in weightlifting. I'd like you all to meet Iris Davis, a remarkable 79-year-old lady who has broken multiple world records in her age category for weightlifting. Yes, weightlifting, and that is a gym behind her. Iris proves that neither age nor sex can stop someone from following their dream. Welcome to Specifically for Seniors, Iris. It's great to have you on.
Thank you, Larry. It's great to be here.
I
appreciate it.
I'm sorry?
I said I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on. You have a distinction in the IFBB, which is the International Fitness and Bodybuilding Federation. What's that distinction?
It's the number top in the league. There are a lot of federations. You know, you've got level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the IFBB stroke NPC, which stands for National Physique Committee, they're number 5. So you have to qualify in a number 5 division to go on to become a pro. So basically, it's the best division to be in because a lot of them are not as strict.
So this is the top.
This is the top. Yeah. And I entered the top for my very first contest without knowing what I was doing, but I still entered the top.
Weightlifting. How did you get into weightlifting of all things?
You know, Larry, I had absolutely no idea what I was getting into. I'll just go through a little bit of my background. I'm from Ireland. I have 13 siblings, not very well off, grew up in Dublin. And I got married very early. I got married at 17. I had my first child at 18. And very unfortunately for me, he died at 2 months old. He died of crib death at 2 months old. Nobody knew about crib death in those days. It was going back to the early 60s. So, of course, straight away, I had already had a traumatic childhood and suffered with a lot of depression all my life. So that just compounded it. So, I didn't know how to deal with it. You don't go to the doctor. You just deal with it. Nobody talks about it. There's no people that you can, go and get counseling from. It's all just very hush-hush. You don't talk about it. So I had another child at 22 years of age. And when my son was 2 months old, my husband died.
Oh.
So again, I'm in trauma. And again, nobody to turn to. Everybody doesn't even mention it. They just shut their mouth. And that's the way we're brought up. It's like, keep it to yourself. Don't talk about it. So I was crying all the time. And one day I just decided I would walk. And while I was walking, I was doing my tears. But it was better than sitting at home on the couch, or better than laying in bed all day. And that's how I coped. And that was the start, without me even knowing there was such a thing as physical fitness for women, because there were no magazines, there were no newspapers, there was no gyms, there was just me, and I had an instinct. So I walked, and I walked for a couple of years, because I was like about 17 actually when I started the walking. And I didn't enter my first gym till much later. So when I tried to enter a gym, women were not allowed. Women were not allowed in gyms, period. And they weren't gyms like we know them with machines. It was just a straw on the floor, chalk on the floor, and great big weightlifters. And that was it. So eventually they let me in, like said, what are you doing here? But I learned from the men, but I learned everything wrong because I was going straight away into heavy stuff without realizing you really must start at the beginning and you have to walk. So I had to unlearn everything and just teach myself. And I've never had a lesson from anybody, never had a lesson on exercises or nutrition or how to handle it or what works. It was just all my own instinct. And I don't know where it came from, but I think I was not talking about religion. I think somebody was looking after me. And I had no idea I was going to end up as a fitness expert. No idea whatsoever.
But weightlifting.
Yeah. What I found when I was weightlifting, I found if you don't concentrate on weightlifting, you don't belong in a gym. You shouldn't even be there because you're not doing yourself any good. But I found that I had to focus and really believe and get mind-body connection, because if I didn't, I would just be crying. And I found, to my dismay and delight, that when I was in the gym, I forgot all my problems. Forgot them. Just concentrate. That I did learn from the men. I'd see them before lift up something heavy, they'd really talk themselves into it and go, yeah, you can do it. And I learned to do the same thing. And that's where I learned all my tips, and I still do it to this day, to this very day. So I have fantastic concentration. I have fantastic form. I've turned many a young person into a champion myself, just all from my own instincts. I read a lot, of course. As I got older, then more women were entering and men were writing books like all the greats. And I read everything I could get my hands on.
So you broke some ground.
Yes.
In getting women into gyms.
Well, I don't really know if I can claim that. All I know is when Jane Fonda came along in the 80s, I'd already been doing it like nearly 20 years. So she came, I'd been weightlifting, and she came along and started aerobics. We cannot take that away from her. She did the classes and all that, and which everybody joined. And then gyms for women started to blossom. So now all of a sudden you could actually find a gym with machines and other women that you could go in and work out. But again, I was basically ahead of my time without knowing it whatsoever, without knowing it.
And that progressed into competing.
Well, I didn't do my first show. I didn't even know women could get up on stage. I'd never seen a woman on stage. I'd never read about a woman getting on stage. I'd never even seen a pin-up of a woman with muscles. Never. And I was 50. I remember by now I'm working out lots. I'm 50 years of age. I really looked about 20. And in the gym, a guy said to me, you should get up on, he said, you should get up on stage. You're looking really good. Never, not one clue in my head about what I needed to do or anything. And I thought, no. He said, really? He said, he said, you look good. You need to get up. And I was 50 years of age. 50. It was in London. And there were no category for me. So they told me if I wanted to get up, I have to get up with the men. So I did. Didn't think twice about it. I got up there with 6 other men. Me, like I'm 5 foot and, 100 pounds. They were all, all different sizes. But I got up there and I came second.
Wow.
Didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to pose. I didn't know anything. All I know was I had to get up on stage and kind of pose and dance. You get up and you perform basically for a minute. And that's your minute. So you can do what you like. You can stand on your head. You can sit on your bottom and roll across. You can do what you like. But you just got to get up on stage for a minute. And I danced. I didn't realize you should have music, what they call cut the music. And you play 1 minute of it. I gave them the CD and they played the whole thing. It was about 3 minutes long. And that was, but you live and learn. And, everybody enjoyed it because I was up there with the guys and I came second. So, and I was 50. These guys were 24 and 30.
Wow.
So,
And if I gave you a minute now with no music, what would you do?
I'd pose. I would do the mandatory poses. I'd also swing into them because I'd like to do fluid movements, like a dancer's move, and then I'll go into the pose, I sort of, boom, and then hit the pose. So
well, I'm not going to sing in the background. What I'd like to know is what advice can you give people who want to pursue their dreams and are just too afraid to try?
Yeah, I just wish I could talk to them all personally and I'd give them a shake. If you don't try, you get nowhere. I'm still, to this day, I'm trying to break barriers. Right this minute, I've got emails going out. I'm trying to break barriers for women because the men get all the glory. You've got Mr. Olympia. You've just recently got Miss Olympia, but you don't have a senior Miss Olympia. There were no classes. The 45, when I started competing, when I came to the USA, 45 was the cutoff. And I was 57 when I got back up on stage, but I had to enter with the younger women. Didn't matter. My first show, I came away with the 2 first places. I got my group and I got mixed pairs because I got up with a guy. And we did dual posing and music. It was beautiful, and we won. So my first show at 57, the oldest woman in the show by a lot. I mean, by a lot. About at least 12 years, and I got 2 first places. And had I not tried, I would be sitting in the couch in Ireland, still crying and probably obese. Yeah. I never give up. If somebody tells me that I can't do it, oh, by golly, that's all I need to hear. And may I tell you a little story? True
Absolutely.
Story? Between 57 and 66, ages 57 and 56, I entered, I think I took, it's either 11 or 12 first place titles in the NPC, all NPC.
NPC is what?
National Physique Committee. Yeah. And they're the ones with the IFBB Pro. You have to win a National Physique show before you can come an IFBB Pro. So I had won 10. And, for example, I won the Florida State Champion 3 times. I won it in 2001, 2003, and 2010. And I'll finish the next one. I won it again in 2021 at the age of 77.
Wow. Wow.
And I'm going to tell you a short story about why I got back up on stage. I'm 66. I'm still working. I still look great. But my mind was telling me, which is very silly because I've never let it happen to me again. My mind was telling me, you're too old to get up on stage. Nobody wants to see a 66-year-old lady in a posing suit. I mean, I was absolute perfection at 66. I didn't have any loose skin. I was beautiful, and everywhere I'd go, people would go, oh, wow, you blah, blah, blah. But I was thinking, because remember that there was still no category for someone my age. There was only now they had decreased the age to 50. So there were only categories for 50-year-olds. So it's me at 66. If I want to compete, I have to go against the 50-year-olds. And it's really not fair, but I did it. And the reason, so I retired at 66, and I was training others. I was turning other people into champions. I would get them to enter the NPC. And a lot of times, a lot of my young men all won themselves and went on to be, champions. So I came out of retirement in 2020, and I went on to take another 3 first places. And one of them, I got the overall, which means best in show. I got the overall at age 77. And at age 78, I got my pro card at 78, the first in the world. So I'm now the oldest bodybuilder, female bodybuilder, but the operative word here is competing. There are a couple of women who are older than me, but they haven't competed in years, and they don't compete. I'm still getting up on stage, and I'm getting up on stage in August, in Georgia. So the operative word is competing. So I'm still taking chances. I'm still doing it. I love it. Why would I stop? Why would I ever stop?
And the advice for people your age, my age, I'm older than you are, but
are you? Well, I'll be there one day too, please God. But you're not older than me.
I'm older than you.
Are you really? You
don't
look it now.
I'm 86.
86.
And I started this podcast a year ago just for
the
fun of it.
See? So you probably came out of retirement and started a whole new career.
Well, it's not a career yet, but it is so much fun talking to people like you.
Oh, yeah.
With inspiring stories.
Yeah.
It gets the people who listen to this podcast up off their backsides and doing something.
Yeah. Well, Larry, nowadays, the average age of my clients are in their 70s. Because I've had them for 13, 15 years. They came to me. I mean, I've got one particular lady. She came to me the day she retired at 65. I've got 2 of these ladies still with me, and they're now my age. Still with me. And I also train people with a lot of impairments. I have some clients with Parkinson's, some clients who can hardly walk, some clients who can't lift their head or their arms, I beg your pardon. But I get them to do wonders. I get them to do absolutely wonders. You know why? Because I make them believe that they can. Once you believe you can, you will, even if it's only one. That's what I always say to my clients. Oh, I can. And I don't ever have them say to me, I can't do that. They'll go, I'll try it. I'll go, try it. Come on, just let's do one. They do one. And then before you know, they're like, oh, yeah, whatever it is. I have lots of clients like that. And they're my favorites because they're my miracles. They're absolutely miracles. I love them.
And behind you is your own gym?
This is my own gym, yeah. I have, I'll just turn the machine a little bit around here, and I'll give you a quick Shall I give you a quick pull-up? Do you want me to do a quick pull-up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm quite willing. And now the thing is with pull-ups, you never know how many you're going to do till you do them. You know, you might get up thinking you're going to do 5 and you'll do 25. You might get up thinking you're doing 25 and you'll do 5. I'll even leave my heavy shoes on. Okay. I'm focusing now. Hold on. I'll do something else. I want to do something from the front. So you get the gist. Okay. I'm losing height. It's really hard for me to go up.
Okay. Now I'm going to go off camera. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see me on the bars.
Okay.
1, 2.
Oh, what a lovely picture, though. Beautiful picture behind you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I just did 3. I mean, I don't want to show off.
Great.
Well, now I'm winded.
Hang on. I'll give you. Don't know if you can see that.
Yep.
That's my shoulder.
I'm
I'm still full of muscles. I'll be 80 in January.
I'm keeping my
full of muscles.
I'm keeping my shirt on.
Okay, you're being modest. You don't want to upset me.
Yeah, the muscles are just too big. Last question. What do you think are the most important factors for living a long, fulfilling life and healthy life?
Be happy with yourself. Don't envy anyone else for what they have. You never know where they got it or what they had to do to get it. Maybe they got it easy. Maybe they've worked all their life like myself. Don't envy anyone. And if you want it, you can get it. You just have to want it enough. Too many people start and they don't see results in a month. Whatever it is, I give up. Don't give up. I'm still not giving up. I have an ambition to do by the end of this year, and I need a couple of people's help to achieve it. And I'm trying. If I don't get it, it won't be by a lack of not trying. So don't envy anybody. Just love yourself. I've got a lot of people who hate me. Doesn't matter. I'm smiling. That's all that counts.
Yeah. Words to live by, Iris.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
People, I tell this to my granddaughter. When I was younger, I had no female friends whatsoever, not even one. And the reason being, I was very pretty. I had long blonde hair down my back. And if we went anywhere together, I would always get the attention. So they didn't like it. And they didn't like me because of that. So, again, I did everything on my own. I thought, I don't care, If the guys want to drop at my feet, let them. It's not my fault. So I learned to be a loner. And I learned to be very happy with my own decisions and my own life. If I make a mistake, and I've made a few, good grief, I've made a few. But these days, as you get older, you learn to listen to your instinct. And I can smell an enemy from a mile away. I can smell them before I even meet them. So I follow my own gut. But basically, don't envy anyone. Just be happy with your own lot. And if it's not good enough for you, it's your fault. It's your fault. So go out and get it.
Iris, this has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
So great having you on.
It's lovely talking to you, Larry. Maybe you should talk to me again sometime.
Maybe when the movie comes out, let me know.
Okay, I will.
And maybe we can get together and talk about the movie a little bit.
Oh, wow, that would be great. I'll keep your email. Yeah.
It's a deal.
I'll definitely. And you keep mine.
I shall.
Thank you.
Our next guest is the holder of the Guinness Book of World Records as the oldest working female comedian. Laugh with us as we share her story. Allow me to introduce a woman who holds the Guinness Book of World Records as the oldest working female comedian. Deanne Forrest has appeared with Jerry Seinfeld and has the distinction of being called the filthy ukulele player by Joan Rivers. We'll learn more about that later. She still can be seen on stage in her new act, Swinging on the Seine. Welcome to Specifically for Seniors, Deanne. I know this isn't the usual question to ask a lady, but since you are a Guinness record holder,
yeah,
how old are you?
I'm 88 3/4.
Oh.
I'm getting to 89, if you can believe it.
You're still on stage?
Oh, yes, I just finished the Frigid Festival, and I did 6 shows in 3 weeks, doing my Swinging on the Seine show. And I'm exhausted, but we did it. And now I'm going to be doing Joe's Pub in May, Swinging on the Seine.
Where's Joe's Pub?
Joe's Pub is on Astor Place. It's where the public theater is, and then they have a very lovely nightclub right in Villages, West Village. So it's very lovely. I played there last year in July on my 88th birthday. Now I'm going to be there again. So, and then I'm doing comedy all the time at the Gotham Comedy Club, and that's on 23rd and 7th Avenue. So I'm continually doing it.
We lived in the city for a couple of years. So
oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm continually working.
That happens.
People don't think you work when you're in this business. They have no idea. No idea.
Hey, I read somewhere you lived a whole bunch of different lives.
Yeah.
You want to talk to me about them?
Yes. Well, the first one was growing up in Newton in a very conservative environment, Jewish family. And then, of course, you had to get married. And I married a nice Jewish boy and living in Brighton. And it didn't work out. So I had been to Paris in 1955 with the Experiment in International Living, which was you lived with a family and you traveled around. And I fell in love with Paris in 1955, and I wanted to go back. But being in the environment and the culture that I was in, parents said, no, get married. This is the way it was. In the 50s, that's the only thing to do. Well, the marriage didn't work out. And after 4 years, I went to Paris. And I lived in the Cité Universitaire, and which is the student dormitory. And so I started having all the fun that I'd never had in Newton, Massachusetts. And I had a ball in Paris. It was the swinging 60s. Everybody had a good time. I just had a ball. And I discovered all sorts of different lives. So that was the second life. And then the third life, I come back, and Boston is now too small. After you've been in Paris. So I moved to New York, and my uncle owned the Berkeley School of Music, Larry Birth. And I was afraid to go to New York, and he says, you got to go. And so I got in, and what I did is I played piano and sang in cocktail lounges, and then I went to cabarets and golf clubs, and I pretended to be French. And I became a French chanteuse, a French singer, and everybody believed it, even in the Catskills. I was French, or I sang in 9 languages. So I could do Italian, be an Irish singer on St. Patrick's Day. So I had a very, very, very good career. And so that was the other life, and doing commercials. And then 9/11 happened, and all of a sudden us musicians are out of work, and the country clubs aren't drinking. And so I play golf with Caroline, who owns the Caroline's Comedy Club. So after a year of not working, after 9/11, I says, how do you get into comedy? And that's how I started this new career. If it wasn't for 9/11, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. So those are the lives, the different lives in a nutshell.
So now let me ask the question that you just answered. How did you get into comedy?
And the thing is, I had to go to a coach, and within 3 weeks, it's the day before Easter. What do you call that? Good Friday, right? I'm in a small club. I got 6 friends to come, and etc. There were maybe 20 people there, and I had never done comedy before. And by the 3rd line, all of a sudden people were laughing at me, and I have it on a videotape, and that hooked me. I can be laughed at, and that started it 20 years ago. Unbelievable. Now they really laugh.
What was the 3rd line?
The 3rd line was, first line is, hi, I'm Dion, and I had a ukulele. And I said, well, I got a ukulele because I asked my parents to get me a guitar. This was, I guess, in the 50s or whenever it was. And they came up with this ukulele, and so this is the lines. I started crying. I says, no, I want a ukulele, not a guitar. And they said, oh, no. Guitars are for boys, ukuleles are for girls. Even then, they knew I was AC/DC. Some people get it, but that group get it. And can you believe it? People laughed.
So then you became a filthy ukulele player.
What happened was I went through different things, trying to be different kinds of comedy, and what seemed to work, I tried golf, I've been a school teacher, everything, and what seemed to work when the writer, I had to go to writer, what is it? I never was a comedian, and put in sort of risque material, a little sexy material. And I said, I won't do it. I said, I have a master's degree in education. I was brought up. I don't want to do it. Coming out of your mouth, it doesn't matter because you're older. I was in the 70s then. So I started doing this sort of, it wasn't off color. It wasn't vulgar, but whatever it was. And I would do it and people would laugh. So, I did it. I was making money. So I go to meet, I was in the same club as Joan Rivers, and they introduced her downstairs. And they were, I was so glad I was going to meet her. So she says, oh, you heard about you. You're the filthy ukulele player. And I said, no, Joan, I'm just risque. I didn't know I already had a sort of reputation around town. I had no idea. Because I'm still the pure Bostonian, honest to goodness. Oh, yeah.
Well, I can tell. I can tell. How do you stay motivated? How do you continue to perform?
Well, you see, the thing is, I play golf with the people in their 70s or 80s, and I have friends, in their 60s, 70s, and everybody has children, and now the children have grandchildren, and this is all you hear about, my grandchildren, that. And then I realize that this is my emotional hook in the world, is that I have the comedy. I don't have grandchildren or children. I don't hardly any family left. And so it's the emotional thing that keeps me going. People call me an inspiration after I do the comedy, the young people. This is my contact of having a continuation of an emotional life through the comedy, which is very interesting. I just love it.
How do we get people our age to laugh more?
Well, what you do, they take a look at me and they can't believe what I'm seeing, like my golf friends. So people get, you shock them a little, and then they gotta laugh.
I mean, our age group just seems to be so serious. We've lost the playfulness.
Oh yeah, well they're all with the politics and all that. The politics and the problems, and that's why the comedy gets them a little out of it. Just think of something else besides what's going on in the world. Just have fun with ourselves.
I mean, we sit down and we talk about what pills we're taking and what doctor's visits we're going to.
That's it. And I won't do it. I won't talk about it. I might talk about, I've met the fantastic doctor and I'm alive. But otherwise, I like to go into other subjects. Where's the last concert? What's the last movie you saw? And that's more important than talking about,
Tell me about I Did It My Ways, your book.
All right. Yeah. Well, I have all these stories. I was in Paris and working in Paris since the 60s and having a different life because there are no parents there. There's no Boston there. I can be who I want. So I did everything I wanted to do. Then I traveled all over the world and had a ball in Syria or wherever, Ethiopia. I did things my ways because all of a sudden the Puritan Boston had disappeared. So I have all these stories that I do in my comedy shows, 6 minutes here, 8 minutes there. And, but I thought I wanted to become not just a comedian, but a little more serious. So I had a writer in Paris who's written several books, and I kept asking him, I said, I have all these vignettes, but I don't know how to put it in a book. Because when I was here or when I was there and what happened with this guy or whatever. And so he kept refusing. And then there was a subway strike in Paris just before the pandemic. And all of a sudden he says to me, all right, I'll do your book because we can't get anywhere with the subway in Paris now. So, of course, the pandemic started that March. I finally had the time. I went to Southampton, played golf for 2 hours, and then came home and put all the vignettes together. And so he came back with me, sort of a book. This took 2 or 3 months. And he came back and put it, I said, there's only 75 pages there. This isn't a book, it's a pamphlet. He was trying to get off easy. So I got advice from an expert editor, and so she told me, tell this fellow, Stephen Clark, to put in more, you got to put in more emotion, you got to put in conversation. So he went and made the book 165 pages, and it's like wonderful, easy reading, connecting all the vignettes. And what was interesting, my parents, who have long been gone, he actually carried the way they caught conversation. So it's an interesting book. That was a good idea, putting conversation. So that's how I wrote the book. It took the epidemic to get me down to it.
And where can people get your book?
Okay, can I show it? I forgot to bring.
Sure.
I got it right here. Wait a minute, everybody. Wait a minute.
We'll all have some coffee, and I think I will too while we're waiting.
Sorry, I'm really prepared.
Well, it was nice to see your apartment.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's here is the book. I did it my ways, and it even has pictures of me in the middle since I was 0 years old, and you can get it on Amazon, or even I did an audio book too. And you can get it on, Kindle or whatever you want, the audio book. I did it my ways. And it's not expensive, I don't know, $12 or whatever. And it's by Dion Forrest. And it gives like a trip around the world through my eyes. Through my eyes.
Hey, Deanne, what advice can you give people who want to pursue their dreams, regardless of their age?
Well, what you do is, number one, you keep healthy. That's, of course, the most important thing. You go to the best doctors. You don't like one doctor? You're not sure? Go to another one. There's always somebody with an answer, believe me. In Boston, New York, wherever you are. And then I go to physical therapy now twice a week. And do for the heart and for the lungs, and that's keeping me active. Another thing is you do a sport. I play golf, and I walk the golf course. And the golf course is hilly, but I walk the golf course as soon as golf starts, so it keeps you healthy. And the other thing is be friendly and with a lot of younger people. And that's in Paris or here, wherever I am. I'm in the comedy, and I meet the young people. And that keeps your brain young. You go out to dinner or what with them, you hear what's going on, and that keeps you young. A lot of old people, they just want to go get to the supermarkets, sit home, watch television, talk with their husband. I don't have a husband. So I go out and I keep active in other ways. So even if you do have a husband, keep active, do everything. That's my answer.
Do you carry your own golf bag? Or do you you have a nice young man carrying it for you?
No, what I do is, and I started at the club about 20 years ago, I have what they call a remote control. Little golf thing that holds my golf clubs, and I can make it go anywhere, and it carries my club up a hill, down a hill, sometimes in the lake it's landed, but that's how I walk. You can have caddy. So, so that's that. You got to do it. A lot of women my age are taking the cart, and I just say no. Let's walk. Let's walk.
Good for you.
You got to keep active. You got to.
So keeping active is your advice for living a long and fulfilling life?
Right. And taking the right meds, of course. You got to find the right doctor, the right meds, believe it or not, and then that keeps you even. Thank God.
Oh, this has been so much fun, Deanne.
All right. Okay.
Where can people see you coming up next?
Well, the next will be I think it's May 1st at Joe's Pub in New York. That's Union Square. I'm going to be on television, WNBC, with Laura Scala, and I already was with Barrymore and show, so they can see me, and plus on YouTube. Dion Forest, I have a lot of my shows there. If you want to have a laugh, go to YouTube, Dion Forest.
I watched one of them, and that's why I was afraid to ask you about the ukulele.
The ukulele that my parents got for me and I didn't want is what makes me different from all the other comedians. You never know what's going to happen in this world.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Is it?
And I have the original ukulele right here that they bought for me in 1951.
This has
They
been.
knew.
Did they know what you were going to do with the ukulele?
No, I always wonder when I'm doing it, oh my God, if they saw me now. But I don't think they would have understood a word. Not so it would have been fine. Here's my daughter, but they wouldn't understand what I'm talking about.
Hey, Diane, are you wagging your finger at me?
And I'm wagging it at them. Hello, Dolly. Dolly, I just have to say that was with my mother. It was Dorothy. And they all called her Dolly. And Mother gave me piano lessons since I was 5, made me take piano, trumpet, anything. And then the musical Hello, Dolly came. And everybody's saying, hello, Dolly, hello, Dolly. So now in my one-woman show, one of the highlights of the show is I go to the piano and I do Hello, Dolly in favor of my mother and then La Vie en Rose. And so she's always there. Always there. Got me started.
Deanne, thanks for coming on specifically
Okay.
for seniors.
Well, thank you, Larry.
This has been loads of fun.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Thank you. Thank you. Give my regards to Newton, Brookline, etc.
I will if I ever get back.
Okay.
Take care.
All right. Thank you for having me. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Au revoir. Okay. Au revoir. Bye-bye.
Our last guest is a woman who frankly intimidated me because of her numerous appearances on television and her multiple gigs as a correspondent. And did I mention she's won more than 1,000 blue ribbons for her baking? Hi, Marjorie.
Hi.
It's nice to meet you.
Oh, thank you. Say, we have something in common. I heard you were a dentist before you started this podcast. I
Yes,
was
ma'am.
married to a dentist, yes.
You were married to a dentist? I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. And he would go with me to all my TV appearances. We had a wonderful, wonderful time, yeah.
Oh, good. Can I give you a great introduction?
Okay.
In her 103 years, Marjorie Johnson has won more than 1,000 blue ribbons for her baking. She's written a cookbook, The Road to Blue Ribbon Cooking with Marjorie. And she's appeared with Rosie O'Donnell, Wayne Brady, and Jay Leno. She's been on The Talk. She's interviewed bikers at the Las Vegas Bike Fest and been a correspondent for the MLB All-Star Game, the NBA Finals, the X Games, and the Emmys. She's a Minnesota State Fair tradition, appearing on the Joe Suchereri show every opening day every year. Welcome to Specifically for Seniors, Marjorie.
Thank you, thank you. You know, now I'm only 5 short months until I'm 104.
Oh, wow. And I'll tell you, I'm a little intimidated with all those credits on television. How am I going to keep up with you? You scare me.
Oh, I've loved every minute of it.
What is your secret to such a long life?
Well, I have about at least three things. First is you have to eat those fruits and vegetables. You have to eat. Don't eat a lot of that stuff that's got all those stuff in it. Yeah, I hope you like to cook and bake because then you can be sure you're getting real good food. Yeah, and I love to cook and bake, but I think as much as I love to bake, I think I like to talk more.
Oh, then you're in the right place. So let's talk about what inspired you to become a baker.
Um, well, the reason I love baking so much is because when I was 8 years old, I baked a chocolate cake with my mother, and when after we'd had a taste of it, there was a knock on the back door, and my mother went to it and said, "Oh, Doris, you must come in and taste this cake that Marjorie made. You'll never believe how great it is." Well, little 8-year-old me hearing that, wow, I was so proud. And I thought, well, I'm going to continue doing this forever. And I enjoyed living so much, I wanted to live forever. But of course, I know that's impossible. So I chose 110. And when I get to 110, if I feel as wonderful as I do now, then I'll increase it to 115.
Good for you. I hope I'm around to see that.
I hope you are too. I hope you're eating your fruits and vegetables.
Every morning, my fruits, and every evening, my vegetables.
Real good, real good, yeah.
How do you stay so motivated?
Because I love life. Oh, I love it. I find it fascinating, enjoyable, interesting, and there's so much out there to learn. So I love reading. I love to read. I love to read. And I read nonfiction books because I want to learn something new.
What was your last book that you read?
It was called In and Out and About. It was really interesting, yeah.
Can you tell us about some of the blue ribbons you've won?
Well, let's see. I entered the Minnesota State Fair, and that's where I've won all my blue ribbons. And then in 2007, I wrote the cookbook because my son Stephen said, "Put your recipes down in a book." And so I did. Blue Ribbon Baking with Marjorie has my recipes, but it also has my autobiography. So you would know all about me if you read that, yeah.
Do you have any recipes that you can share with our visitors?
Well, I have my honey apricot sweet rolls that I won a blue ribbon this year, and I thought, boy, that's really good for a 103-year-old to win a blue ribbon. So
Do you
I
want to
was
share?
so
You want to share
proud.
a little bit?
I made it up, yeah, and it was. I had a cup of chopped dried apricots, a third of a cup of honey, and a third of a cup of water, and I put that in a saucepan and cooked it until it was tender. Yeah, and then I took half of a yeast sweet dough and rolled it out to a 10 by 12 inch rectangle. Then I spread it with butter like you'd butter a piece of bread, and then I put this cooked apricot filling that was cut into 1/4 inch pieces, and then I rolled them up. I took half of my yeast dough. You can use any yeast dough. I used a yeast dough that makes 24 rolls because I wanted 24 of them. So, yeah, so I did that, and I won a blue ribbon. I couldn't believe it. I won a blue ribbon when I was 303 years old. Yeah, and now time has gone on, so now I'm only 5 short months until I'll be 104.
What are you going to do for your birthday?
So my family and I will have a kind of a private uh, celebration. Yeah, that's what I'd like to do.
Tell me, you have appeared on so many TV shows. What's it like being a celebrity?
Oh, I find it fun. I like it because I like to talk about baking, and I love to talk, as you will find out. I love talk, 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 talk. I can always love to talk, yeah. I think I was born talking, I betcha.
What did you say to Jay Leno?
Oh, gee. Oh, I never told Jay my age, so he used to always kid me about that. Because back then, if you were over 40, you were a has-been, sort of. And I was, when I was on Rosie, I already was, I think I was around 70 already then. And so, yeah, I love, love, love life. I find it so fascinating, so interesting, and so, so happy. I've always been happy. I love being happy. And I love reading nonfiction books. Yeah, I don't write fiction books. No, I don't want to be entertained. When I get done reading something, I want to be smarter or more informed or happier or something. Yeah.
What was it like when you interviewed bikers at
I
the Bikers Festival?
yeah, right. That was really something. Yeah, they had it. Yeah, and then when it shows, you see that I'm. That was a funny episode. Yeah, right.
I watched that one, and those guys are so big.
I know. I know. Yeah, and because Jay was a baker, as I remember, and so they showed that a lot. Yeah.
Okay, one more question. What advice can you give to people who want to pursue their dreams like you did, regardless of their age?
You have to do three things. You have to set your goal, and then you have to make it. You can't give up. You decide I'm going to do this, and then you do it, and always be happy. Oh, I am the happiest person you can find. I love being happy, and I love baking, and I love talking. As you can see, I can talk, talk, talk. Yeah.
Can I be the first to wish you a happy 104th birthday?
Yes, I love that. Yeah, right, right, yeah.
Because I don't think we'll have a chance to get back together on a podcast.
Yeah, yeah, maybe you can help celebrate it with me.
What can I do to celebrate it?
Well, my family and I are going to have a sort of a private celebration, and they'll be there, and we'll have a nice time remembering our lives. Yeah.
Oh, that's terrific. Marjorie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm glad to be on it, John. So remember, anybody who wants to get a goal in your mind, you say, I'm going to make it, and then make it. Don't give up. If at first you don't succeed, boy, try again. That sure is true.
What can you say to people who are afraid to even try something new?
Oh, if you do your best, you can be satisfied whatever ribbon you get or whatever comes out, because you know you have done your best. So always do your very, very best, and then life will be nice. Life will be good. You'll enjoy life. Really, really enjoy life.
Marjorie, thank you again for coming on the podcast.
Well, I'm sure glad to have talked to you, yeah, and right, and yeah, maybe if you're around, you can come and help me celebrate when I get 104, which is 5 short months from now. Can you imagine? Wow, time goes so fast.
Oh, yes.
And I feel simply wonderful, just absolutely wonderful. And so when I get to 110, I made a goal. I wanted to live forever, but I know that's impossible. So I chose 110. And so when I get to 110, if I feel as wonderful as I do today, then I'll increase it to 115 and keep on increasing it 5 years at a time until I reach, maybe I'll be the oldest person living in the United States. That would be fun, yeah. I'd like that, yeah.
You got a good start on it. Thanks again,
Yeah.
Marjorie.
Right.
Despite their ages, these women continue to challenge stereotypes about age, break multiple ageism tropes, and prove that it is never too late to pursue one's passions, achieve one's dreams, and live life to the fullest.
If you found this podcast interesting, fun, or helpful, tell your friends and family, and click on the follow or subscribe button. We'll let you know when new episodes are available. You've been listening to Specifically for Seniors. We'll talk more next time. Stay connected.